Fan Podcast for episode number 147. I'm your host, David Palermo, and as always, follow us everywhere, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Throw us a like, tell your friends. And if you don't know, coming up, this game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, or I should say the Buccaneers are coming to Buffalo. And if you don't know, there's two ways you can win a ticket to sit next to me at the game. Number one is if you have iTunes or Apple, whatever products, and you subscribe to the podcast, leave a review, especially a 5-star review, and I will comb through them and pick a winner to go. If you do not have an Apple product, well, just hop along, subscribe, like, and tell your friends. Maybe get somebody else to subscribe to everything as well. Show a friend. Make some kind of case. And shoot me an email, dave@numbillsfan.com. Or hit me up, again, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Also, brought to you by Grandstand Sports Network. Awesome spot to get podcasts. They're on grandstandsportsnetwork.com. Cool stuff like Lockdown Sports Franchise. Our boys there from Lockdown Bills cover one, which is an awesome podcast covering draft prospects, the college game, et cetera, and tying it into the NFL. It's pretty rad. So you should check that out. And as always, brought to you by punchdrunksports.com, which is a soon-to-be podcast network from Punch Drunk Sports, where a comedian does a podcast for each professional sports team. And yours truly, Numb Bills Fan Podcast, is the one for the Bills, for that network. Make sure you follow them along at Punch Drunk everywhere. If you don't listen to their podcasts, it's awesome. There's Ari Shaffir. He has a special on Netflix called Double Negative. Check it out. I always end up on the Comedy Central or Ari Shaffir, his own YouTube. And check out This Is Not Happening. I love watching it. I watch it about every night. Pick one out and I watch it. I'm addicted to it. Cool ass intros. Also, San Tripoli is another comedian on there. Has a podcast called the Tinfoil Hat Podcast. Really awesome. Check it out. Also, the return to or of the Red State from Jason Tebow, who we just had on the other day. He's the third comedian on the podcast regularly as well. And he's also works for DirecTV's Red Zone. So, really great guest we had on a few podcasts ago if you missed it. So shout out to Jason Tebow. Thank you for coming on. And, well, on the line right now, we have James from Indy. And to intro him real quick, James went to the Bengals game and he checked in with us after the Carolina game. So, James, welcome.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Well, we're here. We're proud.
Yeah, no kidding. After a tough loss and a bye week, we push forward. Hopefully, we can get the W this coming week and turn the tides around.
Yeah, I'll say, pretty much we talked before we started this podcast. We're going to talk. You at the game soaked. How was the turnout to when you walk out of the game, and then we'll touch on after sitting for a week. So pretty much the theme of the podcast today will be we have a few topics on hand: the secondary, Charles Clay, the run game. These are topics James wanted to bring up specifically, and I'm sure we'll digress into other things. That's what I do, is digress all the time on digressions as well right now. And we'll pretty much roll through these with the theme of before the bye week, after the bye week. James is walking out of Cincinnati soaked, or did you get a poncho, I hope?
No, I didn't, man. I didn't get a poncho.
James, do you not listen to the podcast? Once you get wet, you're fucked.
I know, man. I know. I goofed big time because they offered them, but by the time I had a chance to get one, I was already soaking wet, and I had a few beers, so I said, screw it, I'm going to stand in the rain, and it was a mistake. But after I walked out of the game and finally got to go home after being just absolutely drenched, I did put together some notes to think about for this upcoming bye week. The first note, like Dave said, I thought after thinking about it at first, I was really kind of bummed about Trey White and getting torched on I think it was a second drive and giving away that huge touchdown to Cincinnati. But after giving it some thought, I really thought I was kind of proud of the secondary for really showing up during this game. I mean, this defense was supposed to be the third best run defense, and I really thought the secondary really shined. I think they got was it, three turnovers, and so against a pretty formidable team like the Bengals, I really think that they shone through and provided a positive spotlight versus some of the other negatives that did happen. So I did. I mean, I kind of changed my mind a little bit after that. I was walking out of the game pissed, and I waited to the last second, ticked off the clock before I left, and I was mad at first. But after thinking about it, Trey White's a rookie, and AJ Green is like the top five definitely in the top five of wide receivers in the league. And for the most part, I really thought he did a pretty good job of sticking on him. Obviously, there were some big plays that he gave away. But that's going to happen, and with a rookie like that, being able to hold him to what he did, I think it's really something admirable, and I think it's a good look to the future, honestly, for him.
Yeah, I think really for that secondary, very dependable safeties. The ball ends up in their hands a lot. Did not expect it. And Trey White, he bounced back. We got to keep in mind, it's AJ Green in his prime. I mean, the guy has savvy vet moves, and I really think that Trey White, there was a play where he didn't break focus. He looked over the sideline real quick to make sure he was on sides and, checking everything out. And boom, 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 AJ Green's by him. Ball snap. So he's almost, I think, almost a little too much pressure on himself. And, it's like, look, next game, it's against Tampa Bay. So looking forward with the secondary, you could possibly be facing Ryan Fitzpatrick. And
sure.
There's one thing about Ryan Fitzpatrick is he just throws the ball.
He can give it away. I think he had 290 yards in that last game and
3
two
touchdowns.
interceptions. Yeah, but 2 interceptions too. So I mean, we all know Fitz magic and his ability to give it away. So I mean, I would not be surprised. I mean, honestly, I do think that we get Jameis Winston back in this game, and I kind of think that maybe that's a good thing because I think maybe a healthy Fitzpatrick might be a little bit better than a little bit of a banged up Jameis Winston as far as the Bills D. So I think if we get Jameis back, we have probably a better chance of actually getting the win next week. Because I mean, I know Fitzpatrick can really put it up, and they've got some good receivers that can pull it down. So I'm not as worried about this game as I was the Bengals game, but I'm definitely waiting to see what's going on with the quarterback situation.
Yeah, I think honestly, we want to judge teams really early, and we have to stay true to the path. You have to go the first 4 games. We're deciding who the team is. Okay, Game 5 for the Bills was against the Bengals, and the Bengals, look, defense is number 3 in the league, and Marvin Lewis, the head coach, he's no joke. You know what I mean? It's like there's only so many systems in football, and up until that point, he's beaten Tyrod Taylor, I believe, every time he's faced him. So I don't remember Bengals winning a long time for the Bills. So, it's like Marvin Lewis had the Bills number for a while, and they played the Bengals a lot, and it seems like every year. I'm not shocked that they lost to the Bengals. I had like some eerie feeling.
I think we all did.
It's just like I don't look at it like a trap game, but let's be real. Like what if this defense decides to act human and have an off game? It's going to have an off game. All the Bills fans are going to be going crazy, and it's going to happen. What if it is against Tampa Bay? We could say whatever we want about Fitzpatrick, but I still believe if you put a defense around Shane Gailey's offense at the time, we would have done something fine. So it's like here we go again, So it's like you're playing the Bengals are playing a depleted offense. They can't put anything together. I mean, God forbid Tyrod Taylor has a fucking offseason with wide receivers, that he gets to use. So it's like, and Tyrod has his own issues too. And I'm not going to.
And I really think that, like, just the feeling in this game, there comes about 2 or 3 times a year in the season as Bills fans where you just get that feeling down deep inside that's like they are not going to win this game. And I drove 2 hours to this game to watch this game, and I had that feeling in my stomach. The Bills are not going to win this game. And sure enough, here we are. And I think really it's kind of a testament to the ability of the Bengals. I think they're a completely underrated team, and especially their record I don't think reflects the team at all. I mean, they've only gotten better since getting rid of that coach that they had and getting that new one in.
Yeah, they got really Zimmer in now, so Laser.
Right.
Sorry.
So I mean, I think that they really do have some promise in their division.
Yeah, I think they're going to take the division, but I mean, you never know with Pittsburgh, and Ben Roethlisberger's head is just so up and down, and I'm not a fan of Ben at all. I think he's a horrible human being, Roethlisberger. I don't like him. I think he's a horrible person. I don't like hearing about guys who, where there's smoke, there's fire. And when you hear about offensive linemen, holding the hallway down as they trap him with women, I think that's fucked up. So it's like, for me, I don't like him. I hope he gets hit in the head, and I hope he retire. I hope he does retire early, and I hope Pittsburgh becomes a tire fire, because at this point, you have to hope that the Bengals beat everybody else in the division, and in the Bills division, and Atlanta just lost to Miami, so that kind of negates a win a little bit, and you gotta hope these AFC teams just lose. You gotta hope. You gotta root for the Bengals, I think. You gotta root for everybody else to lose. So,
well, and I think what's interesting about the Steelers in particular is, on paper, the Steelers should be a unbelievably great team. I mean, that was who was it? That Manny guy on Twitter asking about Martavius Bryant. I think Martavius Bryant is an unbelievable talent, and I feel like it's just completely wasted standing right next to the best wide receiver in the league. I mean, not only that, you got Le'Veon Bell. The defense, I think, is solid. It's not incredible, but I think it's solid. I mean, on paper, that team should be tearing up their division, and so far, it's just. I mean, aside from the most recent game at KC, it just doesn't seem like they've been able to get it together.
And not for nothing. I mean, it's like the Bills are in a division. We were freeballing earlier about the Patriots' bad call, because I didn't watch the game. I heard it was the worst call ever, and I watched it while we were on the phone together. And it's like what is the NFL seeing with these refs? Because it seems like there's like a little. I mention it all the time, and the only reason I mention refs all the time is because I think it needs to be a discussion point. I think that it's not something I can forget about when we look forward to an offseason, the Bills football, and we analyze the team, this and that, and then the offshoot comments from all the fans as well. They haven't made it in 17 years. Well, no. There should be an asterisk. You're in a division with the Patriots. They get caught cheating, and they get these bullshit fucking calls. If I had like $10 for every time I saw the Patriots throw the ball up out of bounds and get a PI call where they get the ball spotted on the fucking 1 yard line, oh my God, I'd be a millionaire. I would be a millionaire. It's got to happen at least, I'd say 5 times a year, where the Patriots get that out of bounds pass interference call and they run the ball in front of the 1 yard line. And meanwhile, we're all praising Mike Gillislee and, oh, where's Mike? It's like, no, dude. Mike got those touchdowns off penalties earlier this season. I mean, they get so many free calls thrown their way, and it's like, it's garbage. It's garbage, especially when the technology is there. You're at the stadium in Cincinnati. I'm at the stadium in Buffalo. You went to the Carolina game. I've gone to a Miami game, and it's the same fucking thing everywhere, which is these guys make a call. They huddle up. Hey, boss, what'd you see? I don't know. Is that really the conversation? No. It's, what the fuck do we do now? And, oh, we got a guy in New York to call in. Bullshit. We're all seeing the same shit. What, are 4 million fucking Americans like rocket scientists? All of a sudden they can break down tape? It's like, no. We see the replay. Come on. Get out of here. Get the call right. Right. And it's ridiculous.
And every stadium now has an 800-foot TV right in the middle of the screen, or right in the middle of the stadium, and it's like you can't look up, you can't glance up and get a better perspective from a camera angle that's made for TV. I mean, come on. I know. I mean, don't get me wrong. This is a tired argument. I've said it before. I'll say it again. The refs have some kind of agenda. It feels like.
Remember that?
And
Yeah.
and I mean, I don't. I'm not a total homer. I see it against the Jets. I see it against other teams that are just that can't get a break. They can't get a break. It seems to happen, and then what happens of it? Is there no accountability at all for a bad call, especially that one on the Jets? I mean, that really did change the game, especially the landscape of the game. It was an 8-point spread. Instead of getting a touchdown, the other team was awarded 2 points. And so, what we're talking about is a big spread from a game that I think was within a touchdown for most of the game. I mean, come on, guys. This isn't a difficult process, especially with all the technology that exists to call fair game. And I mean, especially it really, really shined this week that they did not get a fair shake on that one. And hopefully the league can address it, because really it's becoming a problem. And if we see more of them, how can you sit there as a fan and enjoy the game when it doesn't feel like it's a fair called game?
And not for nothing, I say that so much. Not for nothing, I say not for nothing so much. Not for nothing. It's just they don't really seem to care, and it's to a point where you get these guys. There's a guy who goes on the John Murphy show. He runs a Zebras whatever website. No disrespect to the man, that I don't remember his name. He sounds like a nice man. But there's definitely a cronyism among stuff where it's like, no, he made the right call. And it's like, dude, you run a goddamn, web page about, fucking refs. What, so they're not going to be your friends because you call them out for sucking? I don't understand it. I mean, the stripes should not be bending outwards and in towards your waist, okay? And, we rip on Ed Hockley all we want, but for years, he's been in great shape. He's probably heavier now than he's ever been, but he's always at least made it a point to look athletic. And I don't, it's just a cronyism to sports. And the problem with you have time into something, it means that you have better quality, that you have more knowledge. It's like, okay, well, maybe we want those guys on the field. Well, how about we back them up, if that's what you want, with eyes that can see. And, oh, by the way, it takes 2 seconds. It's like the same metaphor is in weed is legal in Colorado but ain't legal in New York. Why? Why? you don't want, oh wow, what do you know, crime rate goes down, DWIs go down. Colorado has a lot more money allegedly thanks to tax money, and New York State is broke allegedly as fuck all the time, and we have Crooked Hillary getting thrown in there on some show votes later on or some bullshit that I called when I was a senior in high school. Like, oh wow, she's gonna live here for 6 months to be representing New York. Really? That's great. Wow. She knows what about New York? It's like the same shit across the board, however you look at it. They don't want to solve the problem. It doesn't matter. It's just red tape and bullshit. People don't want to hurt each other's feelings. It's the same shit, and it's pick a category. You know what I mean? It's the same thing, and it's so old, and it honestly makes talking about stuff kind of redundant, because I thought about not doing this podcast because I get so bummed out over shit, and it's like, you're trying to interject people with being objective, and I am definitely more into Homer, and if there's a glimmer of hope, maybe we could ride that out. I am definitely like that, because it's sports to me. It's not real life. But then the human side of me sees these players getting attacked on Twitter, tagged all the time, this and that. These players are young people. Most of them are not even 30. And I'm 33, and I feel more lost than ever in my life. So it's like, imagine being these young, impressionable players. I really mean it. Imagine these players, and you just read all this shit everywhere that half-ass columnists write, and there's no empathy because these guys allegedly have millions. Well, what? So they get millions of dollars. They're surprised they blow it? Well, they're supposed to work out, do all sorts of shit. What, then become all of a sudden good businessmen with their money? Like, what planet are you on? And then, oh, well, Uncle Jerry knows a good guy that can hook up Uncle Billy to be an agent. And, oh, maybe your mom should. Like, come on, man. Watch that documentary,
Sure.
Broke. Everybody wants to take care of their family and friends. And then it's like
Yeah.
these players are asked that with money comes maturity. And it's like, then they get bashed on, and then you get bad calls from refs on top of that. And it's like, I just want to remove the hatred and the bullshit and look at this game objectively. And it's like, how objective can it be when the refs can't even be objective? It's like all a tire fire. It just feels like I'm talking about a crock of shit sometimes, and I love the team. I really do.
Yeah.
And okay, so let me transition now. Do you have anything to rebuttal on that? I mean, I kind of just...
No. I mean, I know it was a little bit of the numb politics podcast there, but no, I agree. I mean, for the most part, I think I tend to agree with most of that. I mean, really, it's like it's just exhausting. It seems like every year there's some new thing that just doesn't seem to be addressed at all. That's my biggest worry. Is
dude, I don't want to hear anymore.
It goes unnoticed.
I don't want to hear anymore, James. That hey, they're a good team, so they get that call. Fucking bullshit. The Patriots are hot trash right now, and the Brandon Cooks thing was garbage too. We're reading it in the YouTube comment. We're like, oh yeah, that's right. It's like, how many favorable calls do they get? It's like that Atlanta game. They were reviewing to see if Atlanta scored on a touchdown, I believe, and it's like, if that was the Bills, I feel like they would have went on to the next play. Like, why is this taking so long to see if it was a touchdown? No. Move on to the next play. Let's go. They missed it. Move on. And it's
All
like,
right. And with that, I think we can move on to let's move on to the next point.
Yeah, Tyrod. I want to bring up out of nowhere, Tyrod Taylor. But your point was Charles Clay.
Yeah, I was gonna say Charles Clay. Man, I'm super bummed that Charles is out. Man, I really thought him and Tyrod were having a chemistry this year, and it seemed like it was just starting to heat up. I think the league was starting to recognize. I mean, I know me being in Indianapolis, I don't have that much of a pulse on like WGR. I try and stay away from that stuff anyway. But the national media was really starting to get to notice Charles Clay and Tyrod's connection. And I mean, whether it worked out in your fantasy league or not, I mean, it's a bummer to see Charles go down. And I do think Nick O'Leary is a good player, but I just don't think he has that same chemistry, obviously. But we shall see. So that really did bum me out. And I think that hopefully that's not a season-ending injury. But I think, I do look forward to seeing Nick O'Leary and what he has to offer for the offense.
Yeah, I agree. I think we were talking prior about maybe I have a theory about different formations and what are you going to pull out of the box? New wrinkles in the offense. What will Bill Belichick do? A big reason I think that guys getting hurt sucks is you get to remove possible wrinkles in the future. I don't think, we were giving the credit to the Bills for, oh, wow, they played off of that they're run first team. And look at the play action, how well it worked out. Well, with Charles Clay gone, Logan Thomas, I don't trust him to block as well. I mean, that's cool. Logan Thomas could be out there for pass formations and, whatever obvious passing downs, but like, Nick O'Leary is not known to be a blocking tight end either. I would not be shocked if Brandon Riley, maybe shit on the wall take here, Brandon Riley's maybe called up to be that one-trick pony of, hey, another receiver, but the argument here is, well, you want guys to play special teams. Well, my rebuttal is, if you have Tate and the other Clay up, you got some guys who can play teams. I mean, after Brandon Tate scored a touchdown, credit to him, he came and made the next tackle on the kickoff. So, really stoked for that guy, by the way. And I'd like to see Brandon Tate, more Tate. We talked about it last podcast with my friend Mike Smith, the fantasy guru guy. So, Smitty Smith, shout out to him. But, I honestly could see some new formations, and I don't know how the run game is going to get going, James. And that's something we want to transition into.
So my next point here I had was I was glad that the run game got going a little bit. It was a little bit pedestrian, some of the numbers that they had, but I was able to see, some of that, a glimpse or two at Shady doing what Shady does, that, Mr. Cut on a dime 25. And even if some of them were called back, I think there was a couple of holding calls that called back some of his larger runs that he had. But it was great to see Shady do what Shady does. I feel like this past, 1/4 of the season, we haven't really seen a Shady like season so far. And so it was great to get a glimpse at that. And I'm hoping that because he was able to do that with, that defense that was so revered in Cincinnati. I think it was. I hope that that's going to translate next week because I think Tampa Bay's defense is not nearly as good as Cincinnati. So hopefully we're able to come home and actually get some big yards out of Shady.
Yeah, I agree, and it's like, if there's one thing LaShawn McCoy has shown, it's he has it. Whether it gets called from a bullshit penalty or a legit one. I mean, Logan Thomas really didn't hold dude. But we see calls get not called all the time. So after a big play from the Bills, you wonder what's going on here. But either way, it's not the Conspiracy Football Podcast. So, I mean...
Conspiracy Podcast.
Yeah, and... So here's what I'm looking at is the defense could be human again. Tampa Bay, we don't know if we're getting Fitzpatrick. We don't know if we're getting Winston. I'm going to dive into that later. I'm going to hit up the guys at, warning to you, Kevin Masseri or Eric Turner. Yeah, I'm going to ask you guys for some breakdowns or something. So, I would like to know the odds and the probability of the Bills winning against Tampa Bay, and it's like these teams are catching up. I mean, Miami's not doing too bad.
Yeah.
The Jets aren't doing too bad. I'm not.
Yeah, I was very glad we were able to get that early win against the Jets because
it's a more credible win, right?
Them. Yeah. I think we get them in 3 weeks. So time will really tell then. But
what if the Patriots are in fourth place, man? What if the Patriots end up at the bottom of the division? Think about that. They're like 2 plays away from having 2 more losses, and the Bills are 2 plays away from being 5-0 at the same time, 1-4. Yeah. So it's like, really, it's
No, that would be glorious. I would love to see them at the bottom of the standings. I do think the Patriots are better than the Jets and the Dolphins. I
do?
I do, yeah. I mean, as it stands right now, I think.
Is it like you can't count them out right now, kind of thing?
Yeah, I think
you're just waiting for them to get it together.
Yeah, I mean, really, you look at that last game, and however close it may have been, they still were able to stick it out to the end. Same goes for the previous game to that. I mean, the Pats are going to be the Pats, and I think, unfortunately, we still have to look at them as being the top dogs, and their ability to take a nobody off the street and make them, a star. I mean, they got Chris Hogan. He's going to be playing lights out, I think, this year. Obviously, Gronk is healthy. He's pulling off big numbers and touchdowns on touchdowns and touchdowns. So, I mean, I really do think they're still going to be able to pull it together. They got like 3 different running backs to choose from. I mean,
James, I don't know, man. I think you might be. I gotta play devil's advocate here, okay? And I gotta just say, in general terms, you're doing what I do before the Bills play an 0-15 team. You're doing what I do. Man, they're due.
Yeah.
You're kind of finding reasons. I get it. And whenever, certain people on radio stations, like I remember Jeremy White accusing the Patriots of being dead like 4 years ago or something. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. And it's almost like he jinxed it to come back to life. And I think they won a Super Bowl that year. I could be wrong. So it's like, I agree. I see where you're coming from, but it's 5 games in and they're looking shaky, James. We got to talk about that. The Patriots do look kind of shaky. I mean, that's all I'm saying. Are you taking it into consideration?
I am taking it into consideration. Obviously, I think for everyone in the AFC, I think the next 4 games are going to be what really solidifies who's who in this division. I think you're going to see, if the Bills get 3 wins out of these next 4 games, you're talking about us being on top in the division. But if the Pats go 4-0, I mean, it's over, man. You know what I mean? There's no way we're coming back from that. So, I mean, I really think because really, you're right. I look at this as a homer and think like, man, I've seen this before. I've seen this before where it looks like they're shaky, and I say they're out this year. They're out, and then that year they win the Super Bowl. So, I mean, I know these teams, and I think the next 4 games are really what is going to be how these teams finish in the AFC. I think that's going to be the biggest sign of how it goes.
Again, I like to look at the season in quarters. It's the smartest thing Doug Marrone has ever said. And I like to look at the season in quarters now. And if the Bills can go 3-1 again, or I'm down. I'm down. Let's go. We have to keep in mind. Every team has a boneheaded loss, okay? Every team has a boneheaded loss. But look at the Bills' losses. They're against 2 top-flight defenses. I mean, come on. The Bills are 3-2. It's not that bad. It's like everybody wants to ride Tyrod Taylor on their shoulders when he's doing all right. And there's going to be things he's good and not good at. And it's like, a lot of people shred him, and I honestly thought he threw the ball up. I could be out of my mind. I only watched the game once, and I watched nothing about it. I totally tuned out. And I'll tell you right now, to me, I felt like he was giving his receivers chances when he didn't have to. And it's like, it feels like he wants to be more contained as a pocket quarterback, but he doesn't know how to step up in the pocket at times. And it's like,
and
like, what did you see what did you see at the game? Did you see separation from receivers on a Tyrod note?
I mean, obviously, I think there were some separate. I think they did a good job of seeing the right seams. There were a couple plays that one Brandon Tate end zone catch was. I mean, it had to. If the ball is 1 second later or 1 second earlier, he doesn't catch that ball.
Oh, 1 second is a long time on that play. Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing is the ball was out. He read the defense.
Perfect. Yeah. Perfect play, perfect catch. I mean, he knew his guy was going to come down with it, and he threw the perfect pass for it. So I really think that, that kind of timing is exactly what this team needs. There were some obvious catches from, I believe Nick O'Leary had some open plays over the middle, which you always like to see. I really do think that they were a little bit better than we had seen in the previous game for being on time. I think one thing that we noticed was a little bit more quick passes, which I think work in our favor because I think our guys are quick guys, speedy guys, quick hands. And I think that kind of timing is probably key to winning the next game is having those quick passes.
Now, do you think from the looks of it, it seems like the offensive line, at least Eric Wood was on WGR talking about, he doesn't think that they're too far off, the offensive line. And I'm really hoping that this week it comes together because if the Bills, bottom line, if the Bills have a run game, okay, the Tyrod update, which I'm going to label this Tyrod update, is Bills have no run game. And if you can't run the ball when you have a quarterback like Tyrod Taylor, you are severely hampering Tyrod Taylor's ability.
Yeah.
What makes Tyrod Taylor so good and LaShawn McCoy so good? You don't know what you're going to get.
Right.
And Tyrod on the run is great. At the same time, I'm going to defend the Bills here and say you're facing the number 3 defense, Marvin Lewis. If there's one thing that guy knows, that head coach, it's defense. And he gets nasty motherfuckers to play for his team. See, Vontae's perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, he don't give a fuck. There's a receiver who's getting drug charges right now. How the hell are you getting drug charged in the NFL? I didn't click the link. But I haven't seen a preface like that in a headline in a long time, and that usually means you're distributing something. So, they clearly have some nasty motherfuckers on the team, which is cool. I'm all about it. That's football. That's sports. Everybody builds their team differently. You can win so many different ways. But I'll say, I mean, credit to the Bengals defense. It's usually pretty consistent. So,
yeah.
I mean, I think the run game comes together. We have the goal of sports is to make the team one-dimensional. How do you do that?
Yeah.
Shut down the run with the Bills. What do you know? Take out Charles Clay, the number one target, the only chemistry Tyrod Taylor has. Take him out. What do you know?
And hopefully we can get Matthews back this week. And, and Shady and that line really do improve. And hopefully we can really kind of put this to bed. Because I'm thinking, we got, as soon as you get some kind of run game established, the passing game opens up. And obviously we know Jordan Matthews can really get at it if given the opportunity. So I'm really hoping that he's right about that, about the offensive line being able to step it up this week.
Me too. And on a rebuttal about Jordan Matthews, there's this guy on Twitter that I know he doesn't listen to the podcast, so I'm just going to call him a piece of shit. And if he gets back to me, he's standing there with the backwards baseball cap, like his hands out, like in a doorway, and he just shreds me. And he has like the worst fucking takes. And the way he addresses me, I just talk to him like shit. Because he talks to me like shit, so I talk to him like shit. And then I just like get him going, and I just like fucking ignore him because I just forget, because I have a life. And and like this guy, he just has like the worst takes ever. And I don't know what it is, but it's like no matter what you do when you want to deal with these games, man, it's like Twitter and social media, it's gonna, looking towards the future here, I'm losing my mind. Like, really, dude. Like, there's so much garbage out there, and what I'm saying is, it's like these guys don't offer solutions with their bad takes.
Yeah.
And that's my overall point here, shredding this guy on Twitter, is it's like, offer me a solution. I'm not here to tell you that Tyrod Taylor is the man, but I am here to tell you that we have seen players defensively play well in other schemes, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the head coach that has all the answers and has this written down in his notebook did not have written down, hey, why don't we try to continue what happened before? And it's the common theme every time there's a coaching change. And unfortunately, hey, this is what we deal with. Well, guess what? When people want to be negative assholes, it goes up the organization. I'm not saying we shouldn't have fired Rex Ryan all day long. In hindsight, all day long. But let's be patient here. This quarterback is not an idiot. It's like, I don't think things are that bad. I know I just went off on some random freaking digression off some point I probably forgot. But I'm just saying, man, I don't think it's that bad, and I think it's time that they right this ship, and they're right there. And I think this is a testament of what it is being a fan. And being a fan means supporting your team. It doesn't mean take constant shits on them. It means, hey, yeah, can Tyrod Taylor work on the shit?
Yeah. Mike Clay calling the defense bottom third in the league or something like that, like three games ago or something like that. Like, no, sorry, dude. Mike Rodak, trash.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I don't know what to think because Rodak does work hard, and it's like, I'm not one to pile on, but
yeah, I mean, I don't mean to disparage the guy, but
I would. He's definitely made fake accounts and done whatever, but that could also be from the top because I think Skip Bayless has done that too.
I just kind of wonder, like, what is Mike Rodak trying to get like a new job? I mean, does he want to work for the Patriots?
No, but what's it do if you're the heel? People are talking about it, right? Are we always talking about Rodak? He is a Bills icon. He's going to be remembered forever because everybody talks about him. I probably mentioned him about shit. Adam Deacon and I made a video running over, or Adam was playing Mike Rodak. We called him Mike Brodak. And we did a whole Deflategate video with the blow-up doll that taped his penis down. And, or no, wait, it wasn't a penis one. No, why would I get I wouldn't get a dude blow-up doll. I'd get something else. But, yeah, we made like a little Brady jersey, and we ran it over my S10 that we painted, and then the Bills, the cold front never really came for the Bills defense that year, so that idea sucked.
The real bummer is that, unfortunately, those kind of guys, I think it's easy for them to just shit on the team first without really taking a good deep look. I mean, obviously they have all the access they need, but like consistently their takes are that this team is trash. And the worst part about it is that, unfortunately, this team seems to be living up to their prediction. But it seems like anytime there's any kind of spark of, some player who's, really stepped out and produced and done a good job, or someone who's better than average but not quite elite, isn't Tom Brady, isn't, slinging it down the field, it seems like these guys are just immediately just trashing these people. And it's like, listen, we've heard you trash this team 100,000 times. Why don't you give us a take that talks about this player being a good player, or, hey, let's give this team a fair shake, because, really we're right now we're talking about the team who's second in the AFC East in the first quarter of the season, and with a Patriots team that looks beatable. So, I mean, really all it takes is, some easy analysis to come up with something that isn't just this is a trash team again.
I think
piling on Tyrod.
I think you just got to, honestly, James, you got to go where you want to get your information. I honestly think I like doing this podcast because I like to tell you where to get good information. And my favorite place to go, as homerish as it might sound, is honestly the John Murphy Show. And also, if you have the WGR app or you subscribe to any WGR RSS feeds, by all means, they will individually, shout out to WGR, they will individually have, interviews with Sal Capaccio every day, I believe on the morning and on the afternoon. And Sal Capaccio is a very great thought. He's very solid, really cool, nice guy to get along with, and he's got great information. Follow Sal Sports. That's a guy that I ding all I know nothing. All I do is collect information, be like, what's the bullshit? What's not the bullshit? How can the team improve? Like, it's like this podcast. Like, I sometimes get a little shit on because I don't really comment in Facebook groups all that much, like barely. I barely get involved in Riff Raff because personally I'm on a path which is, what's up with this team? How is this team feeling? How do I feel about the team? Because I'm just going to call my friends and talk about it. So I'm just going to press record and talk to people anyways. Now it's what I do the last couple of years. And it's like, I care about the team. It's a chess match. I want to figure out the puzzle here. I don't need to go off on some side riffraff and have to debate some fucking idiots on the internet or some dumb shit that doesn't fucking matter. No, I'm going to tell you, go to cover1.net. Talk to Eric Turner. Go on cover1.net.
Obviously, that goes without saying. We are the novices. We don't know anything. Those dudes over at Cover One and Locked On Bills are the guys who know what they're talking about. So
I mean, Eric goes to scouting school. Like, he really tries to put a good effort into this. And it's like, and plus the website is clean, easy to access. And credit to him for starting up Grandstand Sports Network. They got my ass on the sideline. James, like, it's all where do you want to get your information? Where do you want to get your information? That's it.
Right.
So, all right, James, where can we find you on Twitter and Instagram?
You can find me at James Borum. That's Borum.
James Borum. Borum. Sweet.
Right.
All right. So, James, I will let you go. Let me just pause this. Hold on. All right. So that was James from Indy. Find him, James Borum, on Twitter and Instagram. Thank you, everybody, for listening to the podcast. Just to wrap up, really cool to everybody checking this out. Thank you for following along, as always. If you have any topics, anything, I'm looking to make more content don't be shocked if I have a podcast daily coming up. So I really like to get my thoughts out, and I like to touch base with fans. And believe it or not, if you talk to people, why is it we can hold a conversation with friends, but when we hear people calling to the radio station, they don't really have the proper platform, and you don't feel like you're getting that full take out of the person, because sometimes a radio host might want to twist it to their narrative, because it does come down to ratings as well. So for me, it's nice to get guys like James from James Borum, I post alone on Twitter, to come have a take with me on the podcast. If you think you have a good take, you really do, by all means, hit me up. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, NumbBillsFan. Dave at NumbBillsFan.com. Don't forget, come to the game with me this coming Buccaneers game. Leave a 5-star review, preferably on iTunes. Send me a screenshot if you want to remind me to look. Or if you're not on iTunes, you don't have the podcast app dealy thingy thing, throw me a review anywhere you think you can leave a review. Show me you left a review somewhere. Or take a screenshot of you and maybe a friend subscribing to the podcast. That would work. Make some kind of effort to look like you're telling your friends about it. Let them know. I don't know. Think about it. Tell your friends. Subscribe. NumbBillsFan.com also has, a little playlist as well if you don't want to subscribe, but you should subscribe because it's really easy. And expect, consistent content. Usually 3 podcasts a week, a game preview, a post-game kind of deal, a fantasy football podcast. During the bye week, hey, I need a bye week myself. So expect Fantasy Smitty to be back. My boy Mike Smith. Mike actually saved the day. He told me to grab Perrine. Started for the Redskins. He picked me up some points, more than a guy I had on the bench. So we will dive into that. Get your fantasy football update. That podcast will be coming soon. And again, don't forget GrandstandSportsNetwork.com, PuntDrunkSports.com. Follow them all. Please, Grandstand Sports Network could use more follows. Really, get your ass on it. Good people. Great podcast. I like the Rock Power Report. Drew puts a lot of work into his podcast, and so does Chris. And they're good people. Drew likes to do some drunk things. And, I'm hoping to invite myself over there sometime. But I don't get the invite. Thanks, Drew. I thought we were tight, man. Whatever, Drew. Maybe I want to get drunk too, which never happens, Drew. So, if you know Drew from Rock Power Report, tell him I could just shoot him a text, but I guess I'll call him out here. So, anyways, that's it. I'm your host, David Palermo. Thank you. NumbBillsFan.com. Tell your friends. And hopefully you can come to the game with me. Be a pleasure. And don't forget, I'm not really a drunk at the game. So if you're expecting like Party Pete, it's not really me. I know I'm really branding this is a really good time with me at the game. But all right, have a good one. Take care. Goodbye.